I'd like to welcome you back to the show. So I have with us today a good friend of mine, Yael Meisels. Yael go way back from different stages in our life. And now I'm proud to say that I find her at a point in her life where she is just excelling and thriving, and she puts herself into everything, her work, her friends. She's a good friend to have. And just by the way, luckily for us, I guess in some kind of weird way, she's single. So
I
she
am
fits.
single.
She is single. See, we got the verification. And she has tons and tons of advice. And I would love to introduce her now. You can say whatever you want as far as your introduction, and then we're going to kick around and have a conversation.
Sounds good. So let me just start off by saying I am a former matchmaker and dating coach. I did matchmaking and dating coaching for about 15, 16 years. And I've been solely focused on being an intuitive life coach for the last 4 years. So I have seen every possible dating situation you can imagine. Um, Even some that are new that you can't imagine. I've seen it all.
Wonderful. So, with that all said, I had to give you the challenge of sticking to one topic because it sounds like we could talk for days at
Oh,
least.
we could. Yes.
So, what's your
So
pick a topic?
I think tonight it's it's I think it's important to talk about when you're coming out of the casual dating stage and you're like, okay, I'm looking for a spouse. You know, who are you? Who is this potential person? What do they look like? The worst advice anyone can, in my opinion, can give is, well, you'll find someone if you stop looking for it. Yeah, but if someone needed more money, you wouldn't tell them to work less.
That's funny.
You
That's
know what
actually
I
a
mean?
line. Heard that 1,000 times.
Yeah,
When you least expect it, expect it. That's what we were told growing up.
right, right. And I think it's very much as you're if you're trying to manifest anything, um, I
You
think
need a
it's important to have a plan. Exactly. Um, how do we handle these situations um, where you and I talked a little bit about this on the phone, when your relationships almost look like reincarnations of each other, it's, the same patterns, mannerisms. I found that God or the universe stops sending you these problematic relationships when you stop accepting these problematic relationships. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, yeah, like we were talking about that if you take control, you can make a difference. If you keep blaming the other person, even though they're wrong, but you have no power. But if you make that change, I was giving an example that if you keep getting punched in the face, that's wrong. You shouldn't be getting punched in the face. But now, if you give somebody the finger and then they punch you in the face, so now it's still wrong, but you have something you can control. And once you find that thing you control, now you can start making changes in your life. And I think that, yeah, we should stop giving people the middle finger. No, I'm just kidding. That we
No, we
know
should.
we need, yeah, that's true. I'm not just kidding. We need to figure out how to gain that control. Go ahead. I'm with you.
So I feel like it takes a lot of self-control and a lot of self-love to say, like, okay, even though I might get lonely and miss certain elements of these types, of miss certain highlights that this person brought to my life, as a whole, how did they treat me? As a whole, you know, um, what did and what didn't work, I
The
guess.
problem is that I think people are attracted to those same bad relationships over and over. And how can they find the interest in healthy relationships? Some people just don't enjoy healthy relationships. So how
Right,
do you wing that?
right. And this is obviously a much longer conversation. I deal with this in my work where we really break down almost like block by block your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, your collective,
Hmm.
and find out, you know, there are people, I hate to say it, but not everybody is healthy. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right.
Um, Not everybody knows how to have a functional relationship. And that's where I think a therapist or a life coach can really come in. You know, when you look at your, like, I notice, so can I share a story about something that happened to me recently?
Of course.
So there's a gentleman that I was talking to for almost 2 years, and me of all people, I should know better. And, it would be very like up and down and hot and cold. And like I realized this would have been a long distance situation, but I realized by my participating in this situationship, I'm really just feeding into your narcissistic ego, where, I'm dealing with a person who I think really does have an issue with narcissism in a real way. I'm not being, oh, he's a narcissist. You know what I mean? I'm saying, like, as to some degree mental health professional, like, I saw real narcissistic traits and had to just kind of drop it like it's hot, where I'm like, you know what, buddy, I'm feeding into your problem. Not only am I not bringing the solution, I'm I'm essentially helping feed into your problem by my participation. You know what I
Right.
mean?
You're empowering it.
I'm empowering you to not participate in a real life relationship.
Right.
Because I know if I slice myself out of the equation, I'm freeing up your space, energy field, and everything else. I'm one less person that you're dealing with online. Does that make any sense?
Right.
You
I'm with you.
know, I kind of looked at it like this: if you don't want to have an in-person relationship with me, especially at this point, after almost 2 years of talking, you
Right.
need to go find somebody you do want to have an in-person relationship with. And I need to just remove myself from this toxicity entirely, you
Right.
know?
Well, I do believe that there's this thing that happens where a lot of guys, maybe girls also, like to feel that they have something on the back burner. It's like a
For
confidence
sure.
booster. And
Yeah.
they never even have any intention of ever actually pursuing it. They like to know it's there. And so they're basically using another human being for their own confidence, which is okay if it's done in a healthy way. And super, super, like you said, narcissistic, arrogant, egotistical, and a little bit evil when it's done in just a straight out, it's about me way. So,
Right.
yeah. And
Right.
this
I
is a
think I could
problem
have.
of modern dating. This is social media for you. And it's funny. I was just having the same topic that the problem is that when you have somebody that you've met versus somebody you haven't met, the person you
Right.
haven't can pretend to be something. They don't have to really exist. Whereas the person who's real will always have flaws. So as long as the person in the relationship doesn't truly focus on the person in front of them, they're always going to
Hmm.
think there's something better out there. And that's the problem of modern technology.
Right, because why should I invest my time with you when someone better could be one or two swipes away, you
Right.
know? And I can't decide, you know, as a life coach, I can't decide if the swipe sites are helpful or harmful. I don't know. I know there are people that have had tremendous success, found someone to have a meaningful relationship with that could, or marriage with. But I wonder if it's taking away. It used to be if you went on a date, let's say remember when J Date is still around, right? Is J Date still
I,
around?
I
I don't
I'm
know.
married 3.5 years. I can't know
Thank
things like that.
God.
And if I
No,
did, I
but
wouldn't say.
but it used to be before the swipe sites, you'd go on J Date, and you'd at least have a couple of dates with someone. You know what I
I,
mean?
I had one of those sites. Remember the parties we used
Yes,
to make? J Match.
right.
Right.
But those were a little bit before the swipe sites where I felt like people were a little bit more open to at least get to know a person a little bit more, because it wasn't so repetitious. Oh, I'll find someone just thinner, younger, this or that, or, rather than honing in on one person to see if there really can be a connection there.
Well, I think that you just answered your own question. I think that there are gains and there are minuses, like there are gains and minuses to everything. I mean, there are probably, like you said, certainly, like you said, people that have had success, and then there are people that it all of a sudden becomes like another addiction. Like,
Hmm.
there's porn and gambling and drugs, and then people find new types of addictions, and this is like an addiction to what's out there, an addiction to does somebody find, can I find validation in people being interested in me? So
Right.
I think that's what it is. It's what you use it for, and if you use it right or not.
I agree. I just find that with some people it can feed into their problem. You know, it's
You need
it
to know your
can. You need to know
absolutely.
yourself.
you know uh, and as far as the dating sites, that's just one step back. Before that, you had the telephone, and then before that, you didn't even have a telephone. So you go back
Right.
not 2 years, and the amount of effort a person had to put in when they met somebody was like the difference between owning a true glass when you pour a glass of water, or a plastic cup that we just throw away nowadays. And it's
Right.
it's the exact same throwaway mentality as you have with everything else.
Oh, for sure. Um, you know, I
Busy.
I keep myself pretty, I hate to say it, but pretty guarded. I going on a date with me is a lot of fun. It's like a job interview.
Right.
Um, but you know what? That's just who I am. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it very quickly. Do we have what to build with? And if we do, great, let's continue. And if we don't, then I don't want to take your time. I don't
Right.
want you to take my time.
Absolutely.
I mean, I am a person who fluctuates with their weight. Sometimes I'm thin, sometimes I'm not. I need to find somebody who's genuinely likes me at any size. You know what I mean? So I don't find myself in a divorce situation. I have to focus on, you know, I
You're
like
really
to get
busy
to
with something over there.
I am rolling a joint for later. Fully legal here in Michigan. Um, but I like to get to the bottom of things very quickly. And I feel like with proper communication and honesty, between two parties, you can do that. I
Of course.
mean,
Agreed. Agreed.
That's
I
kind of where I'm
think
at.
I totally hear you. And I appreciate having you on here. You definitely shared some interesting thoughts and insight. And thank you, Yael.
Oh, my pleasure. I think it's great that you're doing this. And if anybody is interested in dating me or working with me, let me know.
You stole my line.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's great. That was awesome. Exactly. And tell them how the information on how to do it in a safe way is in the description below.
Sure.
I think they heard.
Okay. So yeah,
Thank you, Yael. It's been a pleasure.
thank you.
You are always a trip.
I try. Hopefully a trip in the right direction. Please, God.
Absolutely. God bless you.
Take care, sweetie.